See, okay. The reason Haley and I won't get connected, I think we kind of operate the same way, is like, I don't like to date within my friend group. I am not going to hook up with anyone in my friend group. I'm not going to date anyone in my friend group. It's just not, it's like my ethical and moral boundary because I don't want to end up on a fucking chart connected to my best friend via women we've slept with. It doesn't, I like to keep those boundaries very, very safe and clear.
Where are the quiet gays? Where are the quiet gays supposed to go?
I fell asleep at 6:30 last night.
You hopped off that interview and were like,
Yeah, I slept for 14 hours. I don't know.
jet lag? I mean, what's the Montana time?
They're only 1 hour ahead of us.
Okay, never mind.
I was just so tired, and it was a struggle to stay up until 6:30, but I didn't even mean to. Here's what happened. I went to my little bed and I laid down on top of the covers because I got OCD and I can't lay inside my covers with my clothes on. And so I brought my Kindle.
Not with your outside clothes on, at least.
Nope. Mm-hmm. And I had my Kindle and I was gonna read Whistleblower. And next thing I know, well, actually, I was supposed to go to my friend's house. And at
you 7, have other friends than me?
You know other women?
You know other people? Ooh, what? No, I'm just kidding.
And my phone rang at 10:30 and it was my girlfriend and she was like, "Hi, what's up?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." Hello?
Yeah, you're like, what planet am I on? Were you able to go back to sleep?
Yeah, I got up. I got ready for bed, put my pajamas on, took my medicine, which thank God she called because I needed to take my medicine and take out my contacts. And
no.
So I did that, and then I got under my covers and took my little self to bed. And then my alarm went off this morning, and I could not wake up. So I
what
slept
time was it set for?
7, and I woke up at 8:30.
Okay.
So yeah,
bad.
14 hours later.
Wow, I'm jealous. I really need to do that tonight. I feel like part of me wants to go out though.
Yeah, I will not be doing that.
I'm like really leaning into my extroverted self lately, but also I think I'm gonna get my period like today or tomorrow. So I always get this like huge rush of like energy and like get shit done the day before my period. It's when I like schedule like my yard work and like everything is like literally the day before, unless I have like major back pain. And I'm feeling that today. So I'm like, maybe I should take it easy.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm having a hot flash.
You are always so hot. What's the temperature in your apartment?
78.
Still?
Yes, and the AC's been on. I have all my shades closed. Man, I'm not built for this California heat.
Doesn't Montana get really hot in the summer?
Yeah, but really hot is like 100 max.
That's way hotter than 78.
Yeah, but that's August. And then, okay, here's the other part of this is that everything catches on fire.
Okay, so Montana is like California, but no beach.
Yeah, everything catches on fire and you're in the middle of it and you can't breathe. My entire cross country season for a couple years, we had to run inside the building and just run laps around the stairs for miles and miles and miles.
How many laps was it to do a mile?
Oh, I don't know. I blacked that out.
Did you change direction so you didn't get dizzy?
No, they're big enough that you don't get dizzy.
Okay. Well, because
we're like running in tight circles.
Well, I'm thinking like running around like a basketball court, you would get dizzy eventually.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, it's bigger than that. True.
Yeah, bigger than that. It's like around our whole school, which is very small comparative to these California schools being.
Okay, yeah. Although sometimes like I felt like my school was big, but I don't think it was. It only had like what, like 6 buildings, no upstairs. I was always really jealous of schools that
Six
had,
buildings.
well, like the math building and then like the did yours have one building? What?
One. Actually, we had an art annex.
Did
But
you have a cafeteria?
in one room inside of
The one building?
yes.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. But I was always really jealous of the high schools that had 2 stories and like you had to like go upstairs and stuff. I always thought that was so cool.
Oh, we had stairs. We had 2 stories.
Oh, see, whatever. How big was this building?
Not that big compared. I mean, I could walk from one side of it to the other if I'm speed walking in like a minute and a half.
Wow, how many classrooms?
I don't know, like I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get this answer terribly wrong.
Okay, you don't have to answer. No, no pressure.
I could ask my dad. He's a teacher there.
Of course he is, because it's Montana.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I guess we have like bantered long enough. So welcome back everyone to Lesbian Book Club. We are continuing our walk through the L Word. We are on season 1, episode 2, pilot part 2. I think that's like the longest name of a show that we're gonna like freaking say on here. Haylie texted me yesterday and was like, I just finished episode 2 and what? I could do such a good impression of you now. What? And then I watched it last night at like 1 a.m. I think I put it on, or I put it on at like midnight, maybe 12:30.
Lauren is nocturnal.
Oh my God. So my youngest daughter asked me if so she wanted my sister, her aunt, to come to something. And I was like, oh, like auntie's working nights tonight. Like she can't, she's sleeping. And she goes, is she October? And I said, huh? And this little 6-year-old rolled her eyes at me and said, is she October? And I said, I don't understand your question. She goes, she sleeps at night. And I said, nocturnal? And she said, yeah, nocturnal. Like she had been saying that the whole time. And I was like, yeah, okay. Thank you for making me feel really terrible. But you were wrong. But I was like, yes, she's October.
I can 1,000% imagine her saying this to you.
Oh my God. The sass. I was stupid for not understanding that what she meant when she used October instead of nocturnal, which is like actually a pretty good word association I felt like she had, but it was so funny. She's just the funniest kid. So anyway, since I watched it so late, I took no notes. It's all up here in my head, but
don't you worry.
I was going to say, Haylie, please come through. Yes, she's holding up her notebook. Oh my God, that's way more than last time. Way more notes. Okay, amazing. So you're going to have to like cue what scenes and that will jog my memory. So this episode, we got a lot more Bette and Tina. And when we were talking to Julia was like wondering if you were going to be like a Bette and Tina stan. And I was watching this episode and I was like, okay, just wait. Just wait. It's better. I promise it gets better. So anyway, yeah, kick us off, Haylie. Where are we going? What are we doing?
I had my first note in the first second of this episode where I went, that guy is creepy. The cashier.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is before he even opened his mouth.
He gives like creepy vampire weirdo vibes, but like not cool vampire. Like, stay away from that guy, vampire.
Yeah. He just looked like he would show up at an elementary school and be like, hey, do you want to be my friend? And all the kids are like, who are you, man? Mm-hmm, and he's like, I'm cool. And everyone's like, are you sure you're cool?
Yeah, he was really, and he was like, I couldn't tell if he was dumb or if he just like didn't understand what gay meant, because he was like, oh, aren't like all your gay friends, aren't they hitting on your boyfriend all the time? And I was like, sir, do you think she has a bunch of gay male friends? Because her gay women friends wouldn't be hitting on her boyfriend all the time. What? Like, sir, what are you talking about?
I thought that he meant that like when they're walking around in WeHo that all the gay guys are hitting on her boyfriend.
That is so annoying.
I know. But
Like,
I was shook. Okay, this brought me straight back to middle school and elementary school because this is like the last time that I can remember anybody just casually saying homo in like a real way, you know, when
yeah,
he
like using it sincerely.
yes, and he's like, "You don't mind that there are a lot of homos living around here?" And he like was genuinely asking her that. Just the use of the word homos, like, why, sir? Why? And I know that this is in a different time, and really it brought me back to then because I was a child during then, and the other children around me were using it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and it was the whole like, oh, no homo
No
thing.
homo.
Yeah.
You're too young for Vine, but one of my favorite Vines,
No,
it's like,
I was around. I was
oh,
around.
okay. Well, maybe you'll know this one. Have you seen the two dudes in the hot tub?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's like two guys sitting in a hot tub, but not too close because they're not gay.
Yes.
It's like one of my favorite vines ever. Oh man. Yeah, and Jenny's there. Jenny's gonna be working as a little cashier girl. Jenny rings just so childlike to me, which is like kind of creepy.
Mhm.
But like she was like it's not that hard to ring someone up with, I guess if you've never done it, I can understand, but everything is just like so slow and like deliberate. I was like, speed it up. What are we doing
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. Like even as a child, I was playing grocery
Mhm.
store in my friend's upstairs and
Yeah.
we were like on it. We are like, yeah, next, next, next,
Yeah.
next. Like, girl, get with the program.
Seriously, Kennedy can ring me up so much faster than Jenny. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Um, but who shows up? But Marina.
Mm-hmm.
She's
And
such a muse. I swear to God. I'm just gonna, what a muse. People would go to war for that woman.
she's so beautiful.
And like tall and just ugh, her accent, her voice. I can't even.
It is so she is just giving off so much confidence with the fact that she just keeps going after Jenny. And
I
if
know.
I were in her shoes, I would have perceived pretty much every single interaction that I've had with Jenny as a rejection. And I would have been like, oh, she hates me. I'm never talking to her again. I'm never showing my face here again. But she just is so persistent.
I see, and I don't feel like it's persistence. I feel like Marina is like a Scorpio and just is like that is just the energy she gives off. If she's interested in someone, I don't feel like it's like a hitting on necessarily. Like obviously she is, but it's more like this is just the energy I have around you because I'm like attracted to you. So she's not like picking up on rejection because she's like I'm not like I'm just putting out the vibes without like necessarily expecting anything in return. Do I think it's predatory? Yeah. But do I think she's intentional? Well, yeah, I do actually think it's intentional, but I don't feel like it's like calculated. Like I feel like there's a difference where you like going to talk to someone being like, I want to talk to this person versus like this is just the energy I have around this person because there's like that mutual attraction or whatever there is there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not great in terms of poor Jenny being like pursued in this way.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely does not allow her to just put Marina behind her and just move on with her life in the way that she had it before Marina entered the picture.
But do you think she can even do that though? Like
No.
we talked about in the last episode when you like realize that like oh maybe your sexuality isn't as like straight and non-fluid as you thought it was. Like how are you supposed to just go back to being with your straight cis white male boyfriend? You know, it's just like whether Marina was there or not, it's like Marina's just like speeding up the process, I feel like, which has perks, but like also has like negatives that come with it, obviously, because you don't really get to like get your life in order, I guess.
Yeah. I think that Jenny, there is a possibility that she could have, swept it under the rug for a certain amount of time
Yeah.
and kept her life the way that it was for a while
Yeah.
until it started to bubble up and manifest itself in whatever way it did.
I mean, I just feel like it is better to rip the band-aid off.
I agree with you.
I didn't do it that way. I let mine like sit and fester for a good 14 years and had it bubble over and then rip the band-aid off. But nobody knew about my internal bubbling for 14 years. So it probably felt very band-aid rippy.
I also have a question regarding Jenny's hair.
Okay. Okay. What is your question about Jenny's hair?
Was that a trend? Okay, did you notice how her baby hairs at the bottom of her hairline are cut weird?
I saw that.
Was that a trend or is that just her?
Haylie, I was 12. I have no idea. It couldn't have been. Maybe there's some like older gay women that could tell us, please. Oh, we got this new feature, guys. I don't know if it comes across in Apple and Spotify. Maybe I'll put our Buzzsprout, that's where we host our podcast, link. But in the show notes, if maybe you go through that link, you can send us a text message.
Oh, I tested it on Spotify this morning. I didn't actually send you anything.
Oh,
but it opened up in my text and I can send something.
Okay, so you guys click that link and you guys, if while you're listening, literally text us, we will respond. I think that's going to be so fun. Text us questions, anything, like even just like, haha, I just want to see if it works. But anyway, back to Jenny's hair. I did catch that. And it kind of like, maybe it was like the start of like when people are doing those like undercuts.
Maybe
she has short hair. The actress has that short hair and they just did a fuck up job on her wig.
I don't know. Whatever it is, I could not stop looking at it. I was like, what is going on here? Anyway, that was my question, and we can move on to talking.
Yeah, because I have no idea. Okay, so after Marina and Jenny like have this thing at this grocery store where Marina's just exuding all of this Scorpio energy onto Jenny's Scorpio Pisces-ness self. She gets a call. Tim and Jenny are together and Marina calls. And wait, what are Tim and Jenny talking about? What was your little notes?
They were like, oh, we want to spend more time together. And basically Jenny was like, yeah, I've been withdrawing. Sorry. And Tim's like, a sad boy. Oh, I miss you. Yeah.
Oh. I remember this because he was reading her writing. Sorry, guys. I watched this really late last night and I passed out. But was reading her artwork, was reading her writing and was like, I'm so lucky to know you and have you in my life and blah, blah, blah. And then Marina calls and invites Jenny to dinner. And Jenny's like, okay. And then comes back to Tim. And Tim is like, I was going to pick something up on the way to whatever, when we're going to go to dinner or something like that. And you know what? I'm going to go get it. And I'm like, do you have any idea what it's going to be?
When he said it like that and then her face, I really had a hunch. Yeah.
Okay. What's your hunch?
I had a hunch that he was going to go get a little bling for her little hand.
I think you might be right because that was the vibe I got and I've seen it. So yes, so that was the vibe I got as well. And then she's like, I can cancel. We should spend more time together. And then he's like, no, I'm not even going to be home that day. Go. Then cut to Jenny and Tim are at dinner with Tim's assistant coach guy and his wife, and who walks into the dinner but the whole lesbian crew going to dinner at the same place. And I hate the way lesbians are talked about, but I also feel like it was incredibly accurate the way this straight dinner party was talking about that like lesbian group over there because they're like, if I was with a woman, that Shane would be my type. And then the other guy was like, oh, well, I think Marina is like so hot and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, why with the sexualization of like queer women is really frustrating. I hate
Mhm.
it. But anyway, okay, tell us about dinner because it's so weird.
There is a very okay. Well, first, Jenny's like, "What is Marina doing here?" As though she owns this restaurant. And so Marina gets up to go to the bathroom, and Jenny is like, "Excuse me, everybody, I have to go to the bathroom too." And so she goes, and she like bursts in the bathroom. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And confronts Marina about this, and Marina's just like existing. And then they're like grabbing each other and having this like intimate moment. And then this woman comes out of the stall and Jenny like pushes Marina away and she's like, stop. And eh,
It's so dramatic.
yeah, and I'm just sitting here, I'm like, Jenny, girl, okay.
You
First of all,
followed her.
yeah, you followed her. What, you aren't the only person allowed in this restaurant. You didn't even tell her you were going here, so like how was she supposed to know?
Like, is Jenny so conceited that she thinks Marina's like stalking her with all of the other women in the friend group? They all like conspired to like go to this restaurant to like spy on Jenny. Like,
Yeah. Also, the entire time, Jenny's like staring at Marina and not paying attention to her own dinner party.
yeah.
But anyway, so then they have this very odd little moment in the bathroom where there's just all this tension and Jenny's mad and then she just like walks out of the bathroom.
Yes.
That
And then
that.
yeah, then they go to the writers group, right? The writers group, and they have like a really good time. And Marina's like, maybe next time you can share your stories. And Jenny's like, full stop. Not gonna happen. And then they go to dinner. But then they like go. I swear they drove up to like Mulholland and we're like, Marina's just like so sexy. She's like, sometimes when I can't sleep, I come up here and I just lay down and I watch the sunrise. And I'm like, if someone said that to me, like putty, like, okay, let's lay down right here and watch the sunrise. Is that what you want? Because I'm in again, easy with the peer pressure. You don't have to ask me twice. And they like start making out and like Jenny's so into it and I feel like really do feel for Jenny because it just seems like she's actually enjoying herself in these like intimate moments versus
She
like
initiated too.
right versus like the intimate moments with Tim where it just seems really forced and like dutiful but they do more than kissing.
They get down and dirty in that bed there.
Oh yes, they go to. I'm like, let's. They go to Marina's house. I'm assuming it's Marina's house because it felt like really like the sex that they had felt really free. Like, and I feel like if they had been at like Jenny's house, is like, oh, Tim's gonna walk in or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think of Jenny doing this while in a relationship with Tim?
Oh, I
What do you
hate
think?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They rough up that haystack.
You are so from Montana. It's just the funniest thing.
Anyways. That was just bursting and I couldn't keep it in. So no, oh, I just felt so the entire time because of the fact that she's in a relationship and also I knew she was going to feel so guilty after, which she did.
Yeah.
But
Do you think it was guilt? Because I have a slightly different thought.
I think that probably that it was complicated and that there's
Yeah.
other
So
things
there,
involved. But I
yeah,
think that a lot of it is guilt.
yeah. What we're talking about is like, so I mean, I know you guys have all seen it, but maybe you're not rewatching and you're just listening. So we'll jog your memory. But Marina and Jenny are having sex, and then it looks like a long sex session. Like definitely like a lesbian sex session for sure. And towards the end, like Marina's like going down on Jenny And Jenny's like really into it, but then just like covers her face and like kind of starts crying and is just really upset. And then she goes home and she really breaks down. And like Tim is asleep. She comes in and lays down with Tim and he's like, "You smell different." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm trying a new perfume." And he's like, "I like the old one better." And she smells like Marina,
Mm-hmm.
and ah, I didn't, I mean, yes, I think there's guilt there, but I think it's more of like everything's going to be different. I don't know how I'm supposed to move forward in life right now. I don't know how I'm supposed to wake up and like, yes, face what I've done, which is like the guilt part. But then also, I feel like she's confronting, she can't pretend anymore. Like, because we saw her trying so hard, right? Like in the last episode, just like fucking Tim to try and prove she's straight and then being like, "Oh, I'll cancel the dinner. We need to spend time together." Like it seems like she's like coming to terms with like, I don't know how to go forward right now. I'm really stuck. So that was kind of my interpretation.
Yeah, I'm sure yeah, absolutely.
So that's where we're gonna leave Marina and Jenny for this episode, right?
Jenny does have a big um moment at the end of the episode.
Did I miss it? What is it? What happened?
Tim proposes.
He proposed in this episode?
Yes.
Oh shit, I fell asleep then. I definitely fell asleep. But I made it all the way to the Okay. Well, take it away, Haylie, because I didn't see that shit.
He makes her so the morning after she's cheated, she wakes up and she has this like, oh fuck moment where she kind of remembers everything that's happened the night before. And Tim is already out of bed and he's like, "Jenny, are you awake?" And
I think that's where I turned it off because
out.
I thought it was the end.
She comes out and he's made her this nice breakfast and she goes to sit down and there is an engagement ring sitting in her spot and he's sitting there looking very excited and expectant like a puppy at her and she just keeps looking between him and the ring like, oh shit. And it cuts at that where you don't know what she says.
Okay, so I mean I wasn't wrong. I said that's where we leave Jenny and Marina. And
yeah.
This is where we leave Jenny and Tim.
Uh-huh.
So what do you think about that, Haylie? What do you think's going on? What do you think is going through everyone's heads? Because you haven't seen this, so I'm like really interested.
I am terrified that she's gonna say yes because she's scared.
Okay.
Yeah, I am so worried. I'm so worried. I think that there's such a big chance that she's gonna just say yes because she doesn't want to hurt him.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to deal with like all of the consequences of everything. And if she says no, like basically him proposing in this moment in the morning after gives her no time to figure out a game plan to tell him what's going on.
Right.
If she says, "No, I can't marry you," she has to like right now, right then tell him why.
Right.
So she is like literally in this, the second she's woken up after this thing has occurred, is being faced with, okay, how do I tell him?
Right.
And if she doesn't have the oomph inside of her to tell him, then she's marrying him.
I think you're really accurate.
Yeah.
I think you have a good predictive side of yourself. Yeah. So we will find out in the next episode what happens there. So yeah, that's Tim, Jenny, Marina, love triangle-esque. Okay, let's talk about Bette and Tina because this storyline, oh, Haylie is smiling. Haylie's excited about this. This is where I was like, I am not like Tina. Now I'm going back on what I said last episode. But let's talk about it. So we're still on Baby.
Mm-hmm.
And Um, yeah, we've got some therapy to cover. We've got some donor stuff to cover. What really stood out to you in this episode that had you having some like real reactions?
Well, the stuff about like being an interracial couple and a lot of, the nuances of that
Yeah.
they are facing and the feelings involved there.
I felt so sad for Bette
Yeah.
with Tina's reaction because
Yeah.
oh God. And well, I have a lot to say about it, but I want to hear your thoughts first because you haven't seen it. But tell us kind of the storyline in case some random person is like you and hasn't seen it and is just listening to our podcast.
Yeah, well, very quick overview of their storyline in this episode is they've been trying for a while to find a sperm donor because they want to have a baby, but their marriage is like kind of on the rocks a little bit, and so they've been going to marriage counseling, and that's,
Couples
I mean,
counseling. They don't get married till Generation Q.
oh, they've been going to
But
couples counseling.
it is like a domestic partnership. I think they've been together for about 7 years. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I made a mistake in the Cascade episode or in our interview with Julia. And I was like, I'm so sorry because Julia wrote the proposal episode, which is my favorite episode in Generation Q because it's also very Imagine Me and You, which that should be our next movie that we do coming off talking with Julia because there's a scene in there that is very reminiscent of the scene in the L Word that Julia wrote. But anyway, yes, they're not technically married because there was no gay marriage. They were not allowed to get married back then.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
Haylie. Yeah. So poor Haylie. I always forget how little you are. So yeah, they are going to couples counseling. They're just like not connecting, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what they're going through in this episode.
Bette comes into therapy and is like, I found a donor, Marcus Allen, and he's this great artist. He's everything we've been looking for. And Tina's like, I've never met him. And Bette's like, well, you'll meet him tomorrow. You're going to take him to the sperm bank so he can make his deposit. And which
Mhm.
is so funny because it's like a deposit, like a bank. I thought that was so funny. And when Tina opens the door, we don't see Marcus Allen at first. And we just see like a kind of a look of shock on Tina's face. And I mean, I can understand her shock in that if they had only been going after white donors and then like the shot, like I'm not saying it was warranted because like calm down, but I can see how Tina reacted that way in the split second, but I feel like the way she acted after wasn't appropriate, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. What were your thoughts? You haven't seen this.
It was really heartbreaking to watch this scene between the two of them, and I felt really devastated for Bette. And they have this conversation, and it cuts directly to the counseling scene after, in which I think that the counselor said it very eloquently, in which
Yeah.
he said, Tina, no matter how, valid your feelings are, you have made Bette's identity feel invalid.
Right.
Like you have invalidated who she is as a person. And basically what Bette was saying, or what Tina, sorry, was saying to Bette is um well, if we have a black baby with two moms, then this baby is going to be othered.
And that's a lot of other to put on a child.
That's a lot of other to put on a child.
And oh my God, that is like, how dare you say that? That's so, oh God, that made me feel so bad. I, yeah, it was awful. And I also like, not to defend Tina, but I think Tina was having an emotional reaction that she didn't expect herself to have. And I think Kit is the one that made a really good point. I mean, a good point in explaining it to Bette, not necessarily like a good overarching like societal commentary, but she said to Bette, because Bette goes and talks to Kit, her sister, and Kit says, when Tina looks at you, she doesn't see a Black woman. She just sees the woman that she loves, which is kind of playing into like the whole color blindness, which is really terrible. Um, but like it did help Bette understand. But again, going back to like, I don't think Tina was having the reaction that she thought. And I think that scared Tina a lot to be like, oh my God, like, am I being racist right now? Like, how could that be? And I think actually, like, that is like a familiar feeling for a lot of white people when they're confronted with their own bias and like their own racism. And it's something that they have to grapple with just within themselves. I was devastated for Bette. As somebody who's still 20 years later in love with Bette, I was so incredibly sad because why wouldn't you want your baby to look like both of you?
Yeah.
Regardless of what that brings on societally. And, Tina did say that she was like, I don't feel equipped. This was so sad too. Tina said, I don't feel equipped to raise an African American child. And Bette said, this was like so multi-layered, in my opinion. You could tell me what you thought about it. But she said, well, I think I can make a contribution in that department.
Yeah.
And I thought the word contribution was really poignant because they had talked about the sperm being the contribution. And like, obviously, as like lesbians, we can't make that contribution. So when Bette had said, I think I can make a contribution in that department, it was like her being like, but it's my baby too. Like I'm making the baby too. And we're going to raise together. It was just really, really sad. And I don't know, I'm sure you picked up on this later in the episode, but Tina is bi. So it's, there's that whole thing at play as well.
Yeah. You can just see in Bette's face how she realizes in that moment, like this rejection of who she is. And like also this sacrifice that she had been making, where before they're only looking at these white donors.
Right.
And this is not something that even crosses Tina's mind, I don't think, until this moment. And maybe this still never even crosses her mind, is that is the sacrifice that Bette had been making, is that like there is this part of her, she is I don't know if she's biracial or if she's mixed or what her identity is, but
Bette?
Yeah.
Bette's half white, half black.
Okay. So she has this part of her that is not going to be passed on into this baby if they use this white donor.
Right.
And that's a sacrifice that she had been willing to make that she hadn't even really brought up as far as we know. And so then when she, brings this black donor into the mix, and this is Tina's reaction to it, that's so hurtful.
I know.
And it really goes to show like the biases that Tina has towards raising a black child. And I know. I was like, it makes like I feel like a little bit like I might cry. It makes me really sad.
It makes me so yeah. God, so incredibly. I'm like, you and I are so good at crying on this podcast. Like I'm like tearing up because I just think about being in that situation, and there would be nothing more than I would want than to have a baby I had with my partner look like the two of us,
Yeah. And if you're not well equipped, then get equipped.
Seriously. Thank you, Haylie. Thank you for saying that. Get equipped. Take the classes, read the books, talk to more people, talk to your partner. Like, come on.
Yeah. Bette got equipped.
Yeah. Come on.
Holy shit, girl, get with the program.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard. Truly, it's not that hard because, like you've said in a previous episode, like your identity is not a monolith.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked how you phrased that. It is really actually so easy to consider other people's life experiences and to read about it and to listen to them and to put yourself the best as you can. I mean, it's not ever entirely possible to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, but it is possible to try and understand and have some empathy for them. And it is so possible to learn how to do a kid's hair.
Right.
And
or
like
or stand up for your own kid. That's going to come easy. Like, it's frustrating.
I mean, yeah, there's so many people that do it, and there's also so many people that fail to do it. And
it's such a disservice to that child.
Yeah, there's so many things in this world that are hard to do, and that's not one of them.
Agreed.
Yeah, what is hard is to be a person in this world that the world doesn't treat well and doesn't treat with equity and doesn't think of first and
or doesn't think or be a person that the systems in the world doesn't think of at all, doesn't take into account. I don't know how you can, and again, it did not age well, right? Not that we didn't know all these things, but they just weren't at the forefront. They weren't, being put on TV and whatnot. There's always been amazing Black female scholars doing this work and trying to educate people. But, it's such a disservice to not think about how these things can impact your life, impact your child's life, and you have a Black partner. Like, I'm at a loss. Tina's reaction is incredibly frustrating, but I do think it is a true reaction. Like, it would almost feel disingenuous to the time to make her just so on board. And so, so I appreciate that they are tackling this topic at a time where it wasn't tackled,
Yeah. And people, if you have a reaction that you're not proud of, then face it and work through it and educate yourself and do something to change that's your first reaction, because otherwise you continue to have that reaction, you continue to put that energy in the world, and you continue to contribute to a system that is not good for the whole. And there's a way to change it. Yeah.
Own it, apologize, fix the hurt that you have caused, and do better. You don't have to feel, you should feel ashamed. I was going to say, don't feel ashamed, but feel ashamed and sit in that shame and realize that what you're feeling absolutely compares nothing to what the people who are not represented by the system or, who are not white feel on a day-to-day basis, and know that you're never going to feel that way, and own the shame and learn, educate, and be better. So that's what we have to say about Tina.
And I mean, like with Bette and Tina's never going to know what it's like to be Black. That's the fact of the matter. And like that is something that Tina is never going to understand. And Bette has to have her people that she goes to, like her sister, who she went to. And I thought that was really notable. Yeah. Because they have so much tension, these two sisters do. Yeah. But this is the person that she went to, and this is her community. And they were able to get past these other conflicts that they have that so far in the show, we don't know what they are, but they were able to find a common ground and lean on each other, and her sister was able to come and support her in this moment. And I thought that was just so beautiful. And I really liked that scene between the two of them.
And Kit saying, oh, do you have a note? Go. I don't want to interrupt.
I also, it reminded me of the Drake and Kendrick beef. Which, oh my God, I am so up to date on.
How did it remind you?
Okay, so the scene between her and her sister reminded me of the Kendrick and Drake beef because they bring up colorism.
Yes.
They're talking
Oh, yeah.
about, and I mean not directly, but her sister implies that Bet is okay with, using it to her advantage of, being perceived as white.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a big through line between these two and just on the show in general. So it's yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I mean that's a big theme between this beef of between Drake and Kendrick is Kendrick keeps bringing that up with Drake and Drake is like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm light skinned.
What do you want me to do
What am
about
I gonna
that?
do about it?
Yeah.
But anyway, it just reminded me of that. But
That's so funny.
regardless of her bringing this up, you see Bet have this moment of like, okay, what are you trying to say?
Hmm.
And her sister is like, okay, I'm not gonna say that actually. Like, let me walk back on that. You are a Black woman, and let me support you in that, and
Yeah.
let us, be together in this. And like there was a moment where I thought that they were gonna get into it about it, and they were gonna have conflict about this, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They had a really wonderful, beautiful, supportive moment together.
Yeah. Okay, and then cut to Bet is feeling hurt, but Bet has an opening to go to or like a talk at the museum, and Tina goes to it, and she's sitting next to this dude who's like very clearly into Bet and Tina. And they've just had this like big conflict about Marcus Allen, and Bet knows that Tina's ovulating. And this is where like the bisexual lesbian relationship and like the issues that this can like I'm not saying it's an issue. I'm saying it can cause issues in a relationship. Bet kind of like gives in, and I think after she met with Kit, she was like, the bottom line is we want a baby. So if this guy like who wants to hook up with us will do that, then you know what? Like let's just put more love into the world and like let's have a baby this way.
Which I thought this was so shady.
It is shady. It's so bad. And again, you have to put I'm going to just call them like your suspension goggles. Put those suspension goggles on to I do think the showrunners in the beginning were trying to somehow entice the male audience to watch as well. I mean, yeah, there's like a lot of lesbian sex and, guys will watch that. But I think also like storyline wise, they were trying to like maybe put certain things in to like kind of grasp a bit at the male audience. I feel like they stopped doing that eventually because obviously it's just not the demographic. But yeah, this part was very interesting. Yeesh.
Yeah. Okay, just like the whole time at the art show that this guy was hitting on Bentina was so cringy.
So
And
cringe.
then like the whole time, the whole sex scene felt really, and the whole leading up to it, like when Bet and Tina are making out and then the guy like grabs Tina's face to start making out with her, and Bet is just standing there. And at first, she
It
looked like her feelings were hurt, and I thought that she was gonna like walk out and call it right then. But then she like, it's like she remembered what her purpose was there,
I
and
know.
what her goal, her end goal of doing this was, and she was like, all right, and starts like unbuckling his belt or whatever it was she did. But um, I was just like, oh my gosh. But when he started to put the condom on, and they're like, oh, you don't need to do that. Oh, they're caught. They're caught
They're
red
so
handed.
hot. I love how he thought he was genuinely going to mansplain a condom to these two women. He was like, it's a condom. You a rubber? Like, maybe they don't know what this is.
Uh huh. Also, just that he thought that these lesbians wanted to have sex with him.
Right? Well, but see, again, Tina is bi.
Right.
So, which I thought was
So
interesting because,
maybe,
well, because Bet asks Tina, are you attracted to him?
Mm-hmm.
And like that was like the kind of go ahead that Bette needed to be like, okay, like, which I just, it reminded me, I still can't believe you haven't read Evelyn Hugo. It reminded me in Evelyn Hugo, because Evelyn is bi, Celia is a lesbian. And that becomes a big sore spot in their relationship because of like the bearding and what Evelyn does, where she has like sex with a man. And Celia is very upset about that because she's bi and not, it's a whole thing. But to see Bette not totally okay with it, because actually there's some like biphobia that happens later in the show, which I don't think I'm giving anything away because that's pretty common. Which we love our bi girls on this podcast. You can come on anytime, even though it is lesbian book club. Come on.
Yes.
But yeah, it's such a cringe situation. But at the time, like, yeah, we did have sperm banks and things like that, but IVF and IUI like was more so in its infancy. And I do know that there was a lot of lesbian couples that did go this route in order to get a child. So again, like even though the representation isn't perfect and the like are cringe things, I don't want to like go too hard on the show because this is like so many people's like first exposures to like real world queer communities and how things had to happen, but you're right. It is shady to not like disclose that, like, oh, we're gonna make you a sperm donor in this way.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah, like I think you have to tell them that.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of does go into like a non-consensual, in my opinion, like a non-consensual act in that sense. Like you would, I mean, this is going to be like fast forward like maybe 30 seconds, guys, if you don't want like too much TMI here. But like when a man and a woman are having sex and they've talked about like him not coming inside of her and then he does it, that's actually like legally a form of sexual assault. So in the same way, like looking at this with our 2024 goggles on, like it would not be cool for this to happen. It's
Yeah.
bad. It's wrong.
I mean, it's the same concept as like if you were to go and poke a hole in all of your boyfriend's condoms.
Right. 100%. Yeah. So yeah, we're very against this. But it doesn't end up happening. He's like, why is it that when lesbians want to have a threesome, it's only to steal the guy's sperm? Like, it's not about you, dude. You're not that remarkable. But
You know what that reminds me of?
what?
All of the villains in Scooby-Doo. You kids! What does he say?
I have no idea.
There's also this trend on TikTok going around where like foreign exchange students are in class and the American kids are like, yell Scooby-Doo, it's a bad word. And then the foreign exchange student will be like, Scooby-Doo! and then like hide like they think it's a like they just yelled a bad word and everyone's like, what?
That's funny. Oh
is
my
funny.
God. So yeah, that doesn't end up happening. And I guess we're gonna have to wait another month to see what happens on that storyline. Can we please talk about Bette and Tina's sex scene at the end? Can we talk about it? Because it's so hot. Oh my God. So I'm pretty sure because there's a lot of like nudity in this show. Jennifer Beals was the most famous at the time. And I'm pretty sure in her contract that she had no nudity. So it's interesting in this sex scene, like knowing that you can see like how they filmed it and everything. And you never see Jennifer Beals topless from what I remember. And I feel like I would remember. I would be the one to remember. But like the sex scene is so hot. And I personally love sex scenes. You don't even need to see nudity. I just love the eye contact and like stay on the faces. That's totally fine with me. But you do like then you see that they really did want to get some nudity in this. So they have like Bette flip Tina around so you can see her topless. But I just love I think the reason I like them so much is their chemistry on screen is like bar none. I love their chemistry. I love their intimacy. I just love their connection. So Sorry, guys, you're gonna get really annoyed with how much I love these two together. Through it all, I'm a stan. So, um, yeah, thoughts.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I think you've got it covered there. I don't
Thanks.
have anything else to contribute.
Fair enough. Okay. I think the last storyline that we have to talk about is the chart.
Yes. Also, okay, post sex scene in the morning when Shane comes walking around the corner, may I just say that
I already know what you're gonna say.
Shane, the way Shane lurks around the bush, she looks like a scary mythical creature.
I
She's
know. I know she's so
like
scary
a
sometimes.
shadow.
I know. Kate Moaning really does. I'm hoping I'm saying her last name right, but the actress that plays Shane, really does come into this character in such a good way. She like develops this character, and she's talked in interviews since the show saying that like playing this character helped her to accept her own sexuality and like all this stuff like really helped her as a person. And so I can't wait for you to see Shane's development. But she's creepy as fuck in that scene.
Yeah, and then she's just like, good morning, and then like melts out of the side of the frame. And I'm like, do you have no bones? She moves as though she has no bones.
Yeah, she's just a snake.
I'm a snake.
I'm a snake. Yeah. And she's like, you guys just had sex, didn't you? And I was like, they're like, yeah.
That's my worst fear. You know, like if you're high and you think that everybody knows you're high.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I think if I've had sex, that everybody knows I've had sex.
That's funny. No one knows Haylie.
I'm so paranoid. It'll be like 2 days later and I'm like, everybody knows I had sex 2 days ago. Everyone knows. Everybody's looking at me. This man in the grocery store knows.
Oh, Haylie. That's cute.
I'm sweating.
I know. You're
oh no,
so
now
funny.
everyone on the podcast knows I've had sex.
Everyone has had sex. It's okay.
I'm 25, people,
I know.
okay? I'm allowed to.
I have no comment right now. Yes. Okay, let's talk about the chart because this is we'll help Haylie out here. So Alice Piasecki and Dana, whose last name I can't remember, played by the fabulous Erin Daniels. Okay, so Dana and Alice are really good friends. They're adorable. And Alice starts to make this chart. Tell us about the chart, Haylie. Tell us what you think about it.
So real.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you know how many I was gonna say how many people would it take to connect us on the chart? Probably a lot at this point.
A lot.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. We'll do the math later, and if we come up with it, guys, we'll let you know how many people are in between Haylie and me. I think there's too many if we can even connect at all.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of overlap.
No.
Between the two of us in our friend group. There is overlap, but not with us, thank God. Okay, so tell us about the chart.
Okay, so it's like a degrees of separation chart. So basically, it's like you have a name, whoever they've slept with is a branch off of them, and then each of those names have branches of who they slept with, and then you like make connections based off of that. It's like a web.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so real, especially back home where I came from, where there's like 10 of us. Everyone has been with everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. Like so
See,
real.
okay. The reason Haylie and I won't get connected, I think we kind of operate the same way, is like I don't like to date within my friend group. I am not going to hook up with anyone in my friend group. I'm not going to date anyone in my friend group. It's just not, it's like my ethical and moral boundary because I don't want to end up on a fucking chart connected to my best friend via women we've slept with. It doesn't, I like to keep those boundaries very, very safe and clear that's my take on the chart. But I can see how a queer group, I mean, okay, actually, our friend group has, you know, we're not going to talk about that.
I think for me, it takes me so long to get involved with someone
Yeah, same.
that it's like, and I also, I am so anxious that like I don't date that much. And like when I do go on dates, it's like several dates before I'm even gonna like kiss somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, what if they hold my hand?
Aww, that's so
nervous.
cute.
Do you remember me before I went on my first date with my girlfriend? Do you remember me? Oh,
of course I do.
I'm sweating right now so
I
bad. I'm
know.
like, my hands are dripping sweat.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I'm like,
I'm like
just thinking about it.
That's so cute, Haylie.
It just takes me so long to get anywhere that I'm barely on one of these maps.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm in the middle too. I'm not going to be super well connected because again, I just don't date in my friend group. So you're not going to connect me. You're just not. I am, what is it? I'm like a shadow.
A shadow.
I'm a shadow. I'm not going to be a hub. If I'm a hub, I'm going to be a hub on someone else's chart.
Oh.
So yeah, and then we at the end of this, like, so Dana and Alice are like making this chart, and they're like, "Well, Shane's just a whole thing. We could connect anyone this way," which is really funny. And then we see Alice pitching this chart to like her editor because remember, Alice is a writer. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, at the very see, I'm so confused how I missed this Tim thing proposal. Yes, she's like talking about the chart to her editor, like pitching it as like an idea.
Oh. Also, Alice and Bette were connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting, huh?
Interesting. What
It's like
happened there?
I can tell you about it. It's not like something crazy at all. But I won't spoil it. Can always just stay friends with the people you date. It's fine.
In my head, here's what happened.
Oh, okay.
They were 21. They were at the carnival eating cotton candy. And then they went on a spinny ride. And Alice was like, I'm going to throw up. And Bette was like, here's my hands. And then it was so romantic that no, that would not be romantic.
That's disgusting, Haylie.
I backtrack.
We've made so many gag noises. It's all in this podcast. It's the only way you could come up with something. No, but they were young, and it didn't like go anywhere. It wasn't even like a committed long-term thing, from what I'm remembering. This isn't even a spoiler. It's like that's how much of a nothing it is. So, and it never happens again. Like it's just such a nothing burger. Yeah. Okay, is that the end of episode 2?
Yeah, that's the end. I also want to say what the heck about the woman in the locker room at the beginning of the episode that just
With
was
Tina?
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're naked in there, and she just goes up and starts like touching Tina and talking to her about like what muscles to develop. And I'm like, girl, what are you doing? And Tina's like, I need to find Bette, my partner, Bette. And this woman is like, oh, well, if you want one-on-one training, let me know. And I'm just like, what is happening in lesbian land?
There's no consent in this show. Yeah, it was that is a shocking part because I think now we're at least you and I and you know the queer groups that we're a part of, there's so much consent, there's so much talking, there's so much everything. And to see, it's jarring to see a scene like this between women. And she didn't like touch her breasts or anything. She just like touched like, the muscle along her back, like under her shoulder blade and whatever. Um, but like it clearly made Tina uncomfortable. And I'm just like, why would we do anything like this to make someone else uncomfortable? It was hard to watch.
Yeah. Also, that is not what it's like to be a lesbian in a locker room.
No, not at all. Again, I'm telling you in the beginning because I think they wanted the show to get picked up. They're playing to like male executive producers and
Mhm.
like, men who have to greenlight the show. And so I really do think this stuff was put in there not for the show and not for the targeted demographic. I think it was put in there to make sure it was picked up.
Yeah.
That's my thought. I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Because if anybody is a loving woman that has been in a locker room, you know that there's anxiety involved in that. And you're like
Yeah.
worried about if other women think that you're looking at them. You're worried about
Right.
like if they you're very aware of where you're looking at the ground, you're trying not to make anybody, feel uncomfortable or feel that like you're staring at them.
Yep.
You're trying to really keep to yourself. That I think is a very common experience. And it's definitely not like you're going and touching other women.
No, not at all. I fully agree. You're very hyper aware of yourself and how you're making other people feel.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've never experienced anything like that. That is just ridiculous. And poor Tina.
Yeah.
So, okay, predictions for episode 3.
I think Jenny's gonna accept the proposal.
Okay.
I think that Bette and Tina are gonna use Marcus for sperm.
Okay.
I think that with that this whole like race thing is gonna get brought up again between them. Because I don't think that just got settled with Bette being like, I just want a baby with you, however, like no matter what. I think that there's still issues there between the two of them. I think what else? I think that Marina is going to be like, what on earth when Jenny accepts this proposal? And I think that Tim is somehow going to find out about Marina and Jenny, but not from Jenny.
Oh, okay. These are good predictions. I could tell you some of them are right and some of them are wrong.
Ooh.
So this is going to be really fun. Yeah. Okay, guys, like seriously, leave us reviews. We figured out how to access them. I found out that Spotify doesn't do reviews.
You found out how to access them?
Yeah, we don't have any yet. We have ratings because Spotify doesn't allow you to access or to leave actual reviews, like typed out ones. Although my brother-in-law, bless his heart, he said he left us a review and I don't know where it is. So maybe I haven't figured out how to access them. So send us a text message and we'll read them. Put your little review in our text messages in the show notes. And we'll totally read them on the pod. And we will, I believe we're going to be doing Whistleblower next, right?
Yes. I've just been eating up. It's so good.
I promise to start it this week.
I've read it in 4 different states so far. And in 2 days, I'll have read it in 5 states.
Oh, that is so fun. I'm going to be reading it in one room in my house. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us here. This is so fun. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I'm enjoying watching Haylie rewatch this. And yeah, put your little suspension goggles on and join us for episode 3 after Whistleblower. And we'll also let you know what book we're doing next. I have a couple in mind, and we might have a guest TikToker on joining us in maybe a couple weeks. So we'll keep you posted on that. Cannot wait for that. And yeah, I hope you guys have the best week. And we love you guys.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.